I accidentally read my fiancé's WhatsApp message saying, "It's easy money. I'm leaving him soon anyway." So I drained the account, packed her bags, and walked out without a word. My name is Lucas. I'm 31 years old, living in Austin, Texas, and until recently, I truly believed I had found the woman I was meant to spend the rest of my life with. For 2 years, I was convinced that Ella was my forever, the person who would stand by my side through every twist life could throw at us. We met through mutual friends at a backyard barbecue on a cool spring evening, and the connection was instant. She had that kind of smile that drew people in, and a laugh that felt like home. We started talking that night and never really stopped. Within weeks, we were inseparable, late-night conversations, weekend trips, shared dreams. It wasn't long before we were talking marriage, kids, a home of our own. She was supportive, or so I thought. She'd text me good morning every single day like clockwork. She'd send encouraging messages before every important work meeting. My family loved her. My friends would say, "Dude, she's a keeper." And I believed them. Hell, I believed her. She played her role so well. Sweet, affectionate, always present. 6 months ago, I proposed. It wasn't a flashy ring, nothing like the ones you see in Instagram proposals, but it was meaningful. I had saved for months, picked it out carefully, and slid it onto her finger during a quiet picnic at the park where we had our first date. She cried. She said yes. She hugged me like I was the center of her universe. And in that moment, I was the happiest man alive. Everything seemed normal. We talked about wedding venues, tasted cakes, even started browsing starter homes together. I was living the dream, or at least I thought I was. That illusion came crashing down one quiet Saturday morning. We were getting ready to meet friends for brunch, and Ella had stepped into the shower. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter as I was pouring my morning coffee. I'd never been the type to snoop. I believed in trust. Always had. But that morning, one message previewed itself clear as day on her locked screen. It was from her friend Samantha and said, "Girl, why are you still wasting that poor man's time?" First, I laughed. Probably about someone else, I thought, but the seed of curiosity had been planted. And before I could stop myself, I tapped the notification. Her WhatsApp chat with Samantha opened right there in front of me, and what I saw took the breath out of my lungs. The most recent message from Ella read, "Because it's easy money. He's such an innocent guy. Just does whatever I ask. I'm leaving him soon anyway. Just passing time till something better comes along." I stared at those words. My vision blurred. The room went silent except for the sound of the shower running in the background. My mind started looping those phrases over and over. Easy money, innocent guy, leaving soon, passing time. I scrolled up slowly, hating myself with every flick of my thumb but unable to stop. The entire conversation was a slap to the face. Samantha had asked earlier, "Doesn't it bother you? He seems like a genuinely good guy." And Ella had replied, "Yeah, he is. That's what makes it so easy. He pays for everything, trips, dinners, my car note. As long as he thinks we're building a future, I don't have to worry about a thing. I'm just biding my time, biding her time with me, like I was a placeholder until someone more exciting came along." I felt sick, physically ill. Every vacation I'd planned, every gift I'd given, every conversation where I talked about building a life, it had all been a lie to her. A convenient setup, a financial arrangement. The water shut off. Panicked, locked her phone again and set it back exactly where it was. Seconds later, she came out of the bathroom smiling, hair wrapped in a towel, acting like nothing had changed. "Hey, you ready for brunch?" she asked casually. I nodded slowly. "Yeah, let me just grab my wallet." But I wasn't the same man who walked into that kitchen that morning. Something inside me had snapped, and while the old me might have exploded, demanded answers, screamed, asked why. This time I chose something far more dangerous. I stayed calm, smiled, and decided to let her dig her grave a little deeper. We went to brunch. I sat across from her, watching her laugh with our friends, her eyes lighting up with each story she told. No one noticed how quiet I was. If they did, They probably thought I was just tired. But inside, I was a storm of rage, betrayal, and cold calculation. I wasn't just going to walk away. No, I was going to make sure she knew exactly what she threw away. I was going to burn it down cleanly, quietly, without a trace of drama. I was going to be smart. Over the next few days, I conducted a quiet investigation into our life together. And what I found only confirmed that I'd been her financial crutch. The apartment lease was under my name. The car she drove? Co-signed. Most of the furniture? Mine. Even the wedding fund, sitting in a joint account, was made up almost entirely of my contributions. That afternoon, I transferred half of it to my personal savings and froze the joint account entirely. No withdrawals unless both parties agreed. If she noticed, she didn't say a word. Maybe she was too distracted planning her exit. But I wasn't done. I needed evidence. Proof. Something she couldn't deny or rewrite. That night, while she was asleep, I used the same passcode she'd never bothered changing and reopened her WhatsApp. I took screenshots of everything, the chats with Samantha, the remarks about easy money, even older messages that mentioned a guy named Brandon. He's moving back to Austin next month. Once he's settled, I'll be done with Lucas, she had written. That one hit me like a brick. There it was, a literal exit plan. But I didn't flinch. I saved everything to a hidden folder on my cloud drive. The next morning, I called off work, told my boss I had a family emergency. I spent the entire day dismantling our shared life, removed her as a beneficiary from my bank accounts, changed every password, email, streaming services, even our grocery app. It's wild how many accounts you share when you think you're building a life with someone. That evening, when she came home, she kissed me like normal. Want to order Thai tonight? I don't feel like cooking, she said, curling up on the couch. Sure, I replied, sitting across from her silently, watching her scroll through TikTok as if everything was fine. Over the next week, I started dropping subtle hints. Told her my company was considering relocating me. Watched her reaction closely. She didn't look sad. She looked nervous. You know, I said one night, I've been thinking a lot about our future lately. Her response? A forced smile and me too, baby. It was impressive, honestly. The acting. The lie she was living. But I knew her time was running out. I had one final move to make. A clean legal break. I drafted a lease termination notice. Since everything was in my name, she had no legal standing. Then I boxed up every one of her belongings. Clothes, shoes, makeup, trinkets, and stacked them neatly in the guest room. 2 days later, Samantha posted an Instagram story at a bar. And there she was, Ella, sitting awfully close to a man I didn't recognize. His hand on her knee, her laughing, leaning in like she didn't have a fiancé waiting at home. It lined up perfectly. The next morning, I woke up before her, sat in the kitchen, sipping coffee, staring at her packed boxes. It wasn't sadness I felt, not anger even, just clarity. She walked in, stretching like it was any other Sunday. Morning, babe, she said. I set my coffee down. Morning. Hey, we need to talk. She paused. About what? I walked over to the counter and handed her an envelope. Inside were printed screenshots, her entire WhatsApp conversation with Samantha. First, she looked confused. Then her face changed. Pale, blank, like she'd just been punched in the gut. What is this? She whispered. You tell me, I replied calmly. Maybe start with easy money, or I'm leaving him soon anyway. Her mouth opened but no words came out. Lucas, wait. I can explain. That's not what it looks like. I raised an eyebrow. Really? Because it looks crystal clear to me. You've been using me, lying to me, planning to ditch me as soon as something better showed up. No, she blurted. It was just venting. Girls talk. It didn't mean anything. I let out a bitter laugh. Venting? You called me a fool. Said you were passing time. You even talked about Brandon. Said you'd be done with me when he moves back. Her face twisted in desperation. Lucas, don't do this. You know I care about you. I shook my head. Nah, you cared about my wallet. The trips, the dinners, the car payments. You never cared about me. She stepped closer, voice cracking. Please, we can fix this. I made a mistake. I held up a hand. Stop. Look over there. I pointed to the guest room. That's all your stuff. The lease is under my name. Your access to the joint account? Gone. Credit cards revoked. Passwords changed. She stared at me, mouth open. You planned this. Damn right I did, I said. The moment I saw those messages, I knew I wasn't going to argue. I was just going to walk away clean and make sure you regretted every second. Tears spilled down her face. Lucas, please. I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. Wrong, I said coldly. You knew exactly what you were doing. You thought I'd never find out. Thought I'd keep paying while you got your backup lined up. She paced the room, begging, crying. Don't throw this away. We had something real. I smiled coldly. Funny, you already planned to throw it away. I'm just speeding up the process. Then I pulled out my phone. Oh, and I sent the screenshots to myself, my lawyer, and just for good measure, your parents. Her face went white. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She grabbed it, opened the email, and I watched her world shatter. Complete silence. She couldn't even speak. I grabbed my keys. Don't worry, I said calmly. I won't say a bad word about you to anyone. You'll do that job yourself when people find out who you really are. She tried one last time. Lucas, please don't go. I swear I'll change. I looked back at her. This woman I once thought I'd marry, and said quietly, Nah, thanks for saving me from the biggest mistake of my life. Then I walked out, never looked back. What would you have done in my place? Would you have handled it calmly, or gone even further? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more wild real-life stories.